I'll fix that. Sorry, guys. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Wowhead Weekly number 112. We haven't had a show for a couple weeks because I was at PAX and everybody's busy, but that did not stop the PTR because there are still more things happening on the PTR, more things happening on live servers. So without further ado, let me introduce my lovely co-host, Wowhead Site Manager, Perculia.
Hey everyone! So we have more PTR stuff, and we have some details hinting that the PTR that might be live soon. So a lot has been going on.
That's
it feels
weird.
like yesterday we were, having all these tentative things, and now it's like, oh, like PTR is a release. This could be soon.
I can't
we have a lot
believe
of live
that it's
stuff
so
as well.
soon. It seems
I know
so soon.
It feels very rushed. I know. I'm still like I don't know how the Broken Shore works, and now it's going live. So.
Trying to fix your video. It's not liking me, though. I mean, nothing's wrong with your video. I was just trying to make it fill the screen, but I think I'm giving up now.
Okay, I was like, did
your
I knock
video's
my
great.
camera?
This
Why am I
is
moving?
nothing that you did. Wait, I might have gotten it. Let's see. Ken Panzer used technology. Stay tuned. Oh, yes. Okay. It's like probably everybody's like, it looks exactly the same. But, yeah, so... A lot has happened since we last talked. It's been 2 whole weeks, and it's funny because I feel like what happens in this show is we give people information, and the next show we're like, just kidding, Blizzard changed their mind. So last week we talked a little bit about last show rather, we talked a little bit about the relic system and how in 7.2 there'll be a new artifact relic that will have a second stat on it, so it'll affect more than one thing, and that's been since changed.
Yep, so previously you could get that from rank 8 order advancement, and they scrapped that system, and they're replacing the perk with something called Legion Fold United, and that's artifact power from quests and missions can give twice as much artifact power as expected. And we also learned a little bit more about this in the itemization Q&A, where Blizzard said that they were thinking of better ideas to expand the relic situation in the future, and they felt that putting more traits on relics and, like sort of random traits, that it was sort of limiting what they could do, and there was a lot of problems with it that they kept thinking of as they tried to polish the system more. So we could be seeing more trait modifications to relics in the future, but not in 7.2.
I like how it just
which
popped
I
up
think
that
is
I was
okay.
Subscribed. Jeez.
Nice.
Wait, so I'm confused.
We also updated our subscriber icons. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Here's me trying to fix things in the background. All of a sudden, a giant murloc comes up on the screen. I just said I wasn't going to interrupt for subscribers, and then I did it, and I was the subscriber. I've broken my own rule already. Thank God. Wait, so I'm a little bit confused. So they're no longer... Is it still going to be RNG on what the second thing does, or is that what got scrapped?
No, there's no second thing. Like, the second thing is just gone.
Why?
Right now.
Why do I think it was doing this?
I mean, so like at the itemization Q&A, they were saying that people had concerns about how kind of like the fine print worked on this, how maybe it could be exploited, and there were some like edge cases they didn't think of, and they acknowledged at the Q&A that when it was removed, people had your reaction of like, oh, but a second trait would have been cool. So yeah. Blizzard's like, yeah, we agree it would be cool, but we want to do it properly and not like rush it into the patch. So it could be happening in the future with, more checks and balances. Not sure. I think also because it's tied to like rank 8 order advancement, it could be, I don't know, like you're grinding something out and maybe it would be confusing. I'm not exactly sure why, but they said that they want to do something similar in the future, but it just didn't
work out right now. So they didn't just because I thought when I had read your notes, because I didn't watch the Q&A because I've been catching back up from PAX stuff, and when I had initially read your notes, I was like, oh, they must have just made it so it's not so RNG what the second thing is.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I didn't realize
the
that
RNG is scrapped and the concept is scrapped. Yeah,
I see. Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people this expansion have been unhappy with how much RNG there really is. So I guess removing something that is kind of random probably makes a lot of people happy. But I I do hope that they do implement it in the future in a more logical way for everybody, because I really liked the idea. Like, last night I was super excited because I was in raid. I finally got a good legendary, by the way. Just 2 days ago from an emissary. I got the one that does every time you like healing wave or healing surge, it can stack up to 5 times, and it increases your chain heal by 10%. So super excited about that. And then in raid, a relic dropped and like a bunch of people rolled on it, and I didn't win it, but I whined until my husband, who won it, gave it to me, because it was really good. And I feel like that's how relics are right now in general. I feel like there's always one that everybody wants. And so just in general, I wish that they'd reevaluate.
I'm pulling up the notes to see if I have like the exact wording for what they said. Let's see. It was there's a lot of internal feedback as to the randomness of the Plan 7.2 system, or the impact of suddenly having every relic in the game get 2 traits. The idea is still fresh in Blizzard's mind, and they are thinking of ways to improve it and implement it in a better way in the future.
Yeah.
Blizzard feels that relics have a lot of cool potential, and the 7.2 system wasn't perfect and could curtail future interesting things Blizzard could do with the system.
Yeah.
And I think when they talk about systems, they're also talking about like server strain, like all of a sudden, like every relic for every person like suddenly does a new thing. I don't know if they meant it would like, crash the server or something, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's that, and yeah.
Well, all right.
So
I don't know. I would rather hear them saying things, because obviously, like, if you guys watch my channel at all, I had a video this week where I just kind of was like unloaded about all the things I disliked about 7.2. But I'm always happy to hear that when players give feedback and Blizzard makes a change based on it, whether that feedback was the same as my feedback or not. I feel like it's always heartening that they are, taking players' feedback into consideration, because then maybe, the things that I don't like, they'll change. But all in all, I don't think that's a huge deal. I hope that they do. I really, really hope that they figure out a way to make that work. I would just think that it would have been a slot on its own where it was a special, like a different kind of relic.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not a systems designer.
Maybe they felt that by the time people would be unlocking the order advancement, it would be around the time of the raid, and maybe like if someone had the better RNG relic, they could be really ahead in the raid, and they would have to, like, it was Tomb of Sargeras tuned around order advancement or not. There could be lots of questions with that.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. Before we move on to the next thing, I do want to thank JD Saphir, Olivia D. Grayson, True Chat for subscribing. Some of those are repeat subs, some of them are new subs, but thank you everybody so much for subscribing to our Twitch channel. We really appreciate it. This will be my obligatory time to remind you that if you are subscribed to Wowhead's Twitch channel using Twitch Prime, you do have to manually resubscribe every month. That will not auto renew, so please do that if that's something you want. Also, quick shout out, we finally have gotten the ball rolling on getting new emotes. They are going to be made by Ascot Ascot Hero. I was going to say T Hero, but the T is at the end of Ascot. Ascot Hero on Twitter is making us our 2 new emotes, and Perk and I, after a long discussion, decided we're going to have a little Hogger and a little Murloc as our next emotes. So we will keep you guys up to date on as those things come in, and we would love your feedback for what our next 2 emotes beyond that should be, because we don't know.
We'll talk about the badges when we get to the site part at the end of the show as well.
Yeah, I talked about it briefly if you guys were in chat early, but I'm excited about that as well. Now back to 7.2. There actually has been some new stuff data mined, despite the fact that 7.2 now feels like it could be right around the corner.
Yeah. So on Wowhead's YouTube channel, you can see that we data mined a bunch of new music for all the 7.2 bosses. Mm-hmm. This includes music for the dungeon, for the new raid. This next part is really cool. There are Death Knight and Paladin class weapon armaments. These are sold for 1,000 nether shards on the Broken Shore, and they're really cool spec themed weapons that you see the NPCs using in your order hall.
Now,
so we've got some of them playing on the screen below.
Thank you so much for cheering. I'm sorry that I don't have a cheer thing set up and it's just a giant triangle. I thought I was doing so good. But thank you for that. Now, these armaments, are these armaments? I don't know how to say that word. How do these work? Are these something that you can transmog? Are these something that you can use? Are they just what the NPCs are using?
So you buy it from the vendor at the Broken Shore, and then you click on it to learn it, and it's like the weapon equivalent of an armor ensemble. So you click on it, and then you learn a bunch of weapon appearances that show up in the transmog UI, and then you can transmog to it in the future on that class.
So
now,
one of these armaments, oh my god, one of these armaments it's got more than one appearance on it though.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like you get all the Death Knight appearances at once, and then you get all the Paladin ones at once.
And how do you earn them?
So we only have you go to the Broken Shore, and after you unlock all the vendors, you just turn in 1,000 Nether shards, and you can earn more Nether shards on the Broken Shore. And yeah, it's just 1,000.
That seems like a very low amount of Nether shards for a huge reward.
Yeah, and not all the classes have weapons yet, so I don't know if more are coming or if these were like the really iconic ones they wanted to get in.
Oh my goodness.
I actually don't have a problem. What happened?
No, I just thought about the outrage if they didn't give them for every class.
Right. Well, I mean, there are certain, when like a boss drops armor and it resembles the boss, and like only cloth users can, like, Archimond, only cloth users had his helm and waist, or Garrosh, only plate users could use his spiky spaulders. I see it along those lines. But I do think that, especially what we were saying with last show, that it would be cool if each class got something to be consistent, because we like consistency.
It would just crack me up that of all the classes, it would be Death Knights, because, Death Knights get the pets as well, and the pets are account-wide, and then they would get the armaments, and then Paladins get 4 mounts they can use on any
the armaments aren't account-wide. Like,
I figured they would be locked
to
like
the
character.
Death Knight appearances.
Yeah, still, it would just be an absolute riot. If you guys want to see the whole video, both of these videos are available on wowhead.com. I saw a couple people saying that Perk's audio was out of sync. It should have only been for a second. I think it was when the new video was loading, because there was 2 videos that were up at the same time, so it should be okay now. But wow,
also that's in the model viewer on Wowhead. So if you can go to like each like weapon page and view 3D and like preview your character wearing it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, super cool. And I can't wait to see what they do for other classes, because I would like to assume that there will be other classes. Fingers crossed. Now, is there any other stuff that's been data mined? I know that Warlocks and Paladins, we got some more of their mount effects, correct?
Yeah, so, Warlocks and Paladins kind of had the horse mounts, and their spell effects are a little more sparkly now. We have updated videos of those as well on Wowhead. And the cost of rank 7 and 8 order advancements have been reduced as well. So I think they're not as steep as they used to be, but you do have to recruit your new class hall champion before you can click and learn that trait. So it's like a different way of gating it. So instead of having to get a ton of order resources, you have to do some questing and then gain a smaller amount of resources. We also data mine some other things, which we'll get to in a second, but these are like the general things that we've gotten out of the way. So
so before we move on to flying, I do want to thank Son of Baphomet, maybe? I think is your name. Thank you so much for subscribing. We really, really appreciate it. Moving on to some stuff that's going on with flying, which a lot of people obviously are super excited, because 7.2 will be allowing players to finish Broken Isles Pathfinder Part 2. And they changed some of the requirements, because the requirements were seen by a lot of people as just being too tedious, too hard. So they removed the achievement for long breaching the tomb, which is all of the quests on the Broken Shore, correct?
Yeah, it's like you had to do a bunch of invasions and unlock different parts, and then do a bunch of like Centenax beacons and kill 100 demons and like get 2,000 Nether shards. And that's still like the achievement is still in the game, but you don't have to do that for flying. So that was like the big one that's now out of the way, which is cool.
Was it really that difficult?
I mean, I think it was kind of staggered, and that achievement has something like 15 subcomponents to it, so I could see it looking overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, I have to do 15 things. Like, I thought this, because Blizzard said that part 1 was meant to be the bulk of the requirements, and reaching the tomb was kind of lengthy.
Okay, that makes sense then. And then they also reduced the rep requirement from Exalted to Revered with the new faction, the Armies of Legionfall.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting is that we've learned that the buildings on the Broken Shore that you can construct, they have one perk that you always get when the building's constructed, and then there's a rotating set of 4 buffs that can make up the other perk, and one of the buffs increases your reputation gains with armies of Legion Fall by 30%. So when that one's up, that's super. That should be super quick to get your review for flying.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it would be too terrible. And then another big thing in 7.2 obviously is legendaries. There are new legendaries coming. They're buffing and nerfing and rebalancing legendaries that are in the game. They're also making it so you can kind of like target get a legendary if you're trying to get one. There's also the crafted legendaries. Legendaries are a huge part of 7.2. So of course, like I said, some of the underperforming legendaries are going to receive throughput effects or bonus stats, and none of that is complete right now, even though I know it's like build is
like we even got some more like an hour ago.
Yeah.
So if you're there's like first post on Wowhead, it's like, oh, like Lunar Glide is 10% versus 20.
Yeah. So the idea of all of this is to bring the legendaries more in line with each other, but legendaries are crazy, man. I feel like balancing things has got to be so difficult when you bring legendaries into the mix.
Yeah. Talking about the throughput some more, we saw a bunch of these changes on Tuesday, and then, like I said, 4 more today. And these were mainly targeting the ones that were only useful in like certain situations or had more utility perks. So some of these legendaries received bonus stats, or they received an additional effect. So if I can figure out where this post is in the middle of all the data mining going on.
It's somewhere.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so for example, using Cephas as an example, on Tuesday we learned that Cephas now grants 10% movement speed and 3% haste, and then on the effect, it's 70% movement speed and 25% haste, and the movement speed bonus now stacks with other bonuses. And then today we learned that the 3% haste was reduced to 2% haste, while something like Belovir's Final Stand has an extra 650 secondary stats on the item now. So yeah, I'd say several dozen items had changes to them. Blizzard made a long list, but then there was a few changes via data mining that didn't show up in Blizzard's list. So yeah, it's still a work in progress, but the idea is that if a legendary is useful in every situation, it shouldn't be the best legendary. Like if something is meant to shine in AoE, it should be an awesome AoE legendary. And if something has a cool utility effect, you shouldn't be like, oh, the proc's cool, but it's like bad to use in raid. Like, so that's why they gave it extra stats or, a solid bonus, so it could be useful.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like some of the legendaries are so specific with what spells they affect that it's hard to... Like, I feel like if you have a few legendaries, there are probably people who just have totally different loadouts for every fight. They just go in and they're like, oh, this is, like you said, like an AoE fight, so I'm going to use this legendary, or this is this, so I'm going to use that legendary. Because I know the legendary one of my legendaries is super good in Mythic Pluses, but it's kind of horrible in raids. And then the one that I just got is pretty decent in raids, but you certainly... It's not like I feel like some legendaries just kind of work, like something like Prydaz, for instance. You don't really have to keep an eye on it. It just does what it does. Whereas the one that I got last night, you really have to keep track of stacks, and then when it gets to a certain point. So like they said, even though they're attempting to kind of bring them all to the same place, it's so all over the place with the way they work differently. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to kind of target legendaries. I'm pumped about that, and that's through the Broken Shore quest, because you'll be able to. It's like you buy a token for a piece of gear, and that token has a chance to be legendary. So if you're specifically trying for a certain legendary, you can keep buying that slot.
Right, and I think that should also affect specializations. So you can buy a helm token for 5,000 nether shards, and if you set your loot specialization to, say, enhancement, you'll target helms that are enhancement. So it kind of gets like your spec and your slot targeting at the same time.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are just like grinding nether shards like crazy people.
Yeah, it's like Kaldala Diablo. They should have a little. They should make a little sound when you create the token.
They should keep Kadala out of WoW. Thanks. Well, that's actually really good timing. Oh my gosh, 2 subs right in a row. My goodness, we were just about to switch topics, but now seems like a really great time to thank Jelly Ann and 212 Ron 212 for subscribing to our Twitch channel. We really, really appreciate it. Like we said, next week we should have a couple new emotes for you guys, so we're really, really excited about that. And then you also should have a little badge next to your name now. So, and those badges get cooler as you've been subscribed for longer. So, oh, speaking of cool things, so everybody got to murder Nomi this weekend.
That was awesome. They should do more stress tests like this. It was a PTR stress test, and instead of telling people, go kill things on the Broken Shore, which they tried before, and there was no one testing. I was there. Nobody was testing on the Broken Shore. Yeah. So Blizzard was like, hey, actually, to make things more enticing, Dalaran is a free-for-all PvP. Yeah. And a lot of people showed up, and they did that you could kill each other, but you could also kill the NPCs. So, everyone ran to Nomi, and he got these evil fire and fell abilities. He was this level 113 mob. His health scaled up with how many people hit him. It was ridiculous. Yeah. There were so many people there. Yeah. And he was so popular that after the stress test ended, Blizzard's like, okay, we'll turn off the ability for you to gank each other, but you can still kill Nomi. And they spawned him in the center of Dalaran, and they gave him all of these demonic voice-over lines like, I am the Burning Legion. And yeah, he was super awesome to kill. And then when he died, the GMs respawned him with 10 Nomis at once. Oh no. And they spawned Fel Reavers and Nighthold bosses and Iron Reaver and just a ton of bosses.
Poor all Nomi, at once. So hated.
I know, but that was a really fun event. I wish there were more things like that because you don't experience stuff like that on live servers. Yeah. And it makes everyone feel special, and it's cool, to see Blizzard GMs or developers hovering on their characters in the sky, summoning all these cool things for everyone to fight. It was really awesome. I had a lot of fun testing that.
Yeah, and I believe there's videos and pictures of that on Wowhead if you guys want to check it out. And then this next part is spoilery. There will be a spoiler tag on. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please mute us and come back when the spoiler tag is off. But I'm going to flip it over to Perk. And uh-oh.
You good?
I might not be able to change anything on the stream.
Oh no. Wait, there I am.
No, I see you just fine. It is just not allowing me to interact with anything.
Oh no.
And I don't really want to restart the stream. So you're going to have to talk about oh my god, that means I can't spoiler tag either. Oh no. Do you want me to restart it, or do you want to I can put spoiler tag in chat and then another one afterwards?
Oh, yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay. So, Sass, you're on it. I don't know what's going on or why that died. Hopefully it comes back sometime.
Okay. All right. Let me know when I'm good to talk about it.
I'm waiting for Sass to put in. I can't, Katsuki, I can't interact with anything on the screen. Okay, I would love to, but that's the problem, is that the program itself is frozen, but it's still streaming, so we're going to go with it. So you are good.
All right. So one thing we data mined when they talk about systems, they're also talking about exploration, is that there's a new series of quests for Anduin in 7.2. So you start this quest by retrieving the compass off of the Broken Shore. And if you remember from the original Legion cinematic, when the gunship is shot down and, Varian and all that falls into the water, he lets go of the compass that has a picture of Anduin in it. So we retrieve this compass and then we bring it back to Anduin. And what follows, it's not major spoilers, but if you care about character development, it's pretty cool and touching. As we learned in Son of the Wolf, the comic before Legion, Anduin was made a leader by surprise. No one was like, oh, he's not a great warrior. He's more scholarly. He's a priest. And in that comic, we saw eventually that he, grew up and found his inner strength and became a better leader. And this quest series gives us more of that cool character development as well. So we bring the compass to Anduin, and it starts a fresh cycle of grief because he was always comforted by the idea that when his father died, he was holding the compass. So when he learned that the compass was lost, he just like went to the cathedral and just like shut everyone off. Systems. They're also talking, and you reach out to him. He grieves by his father's tomb. He realizes that he's not really taking action, that a lot of people sacrifice things on the Broken Shore, and he hasn't ever been to the Broken Shore. So he ends up going to the Broken Shore as he keeps reflecting on the legacy of his family. And it's really touching. Like, there's a lot of musing on history going on, and you can see him realizing the roles and responsibilities he has to take on. And this basically ends. So he finds where Varian died. He sees the Fel Reaver that's been slain, and there's this cinematic that's going to come. We don't know what it is yet, but basically we see him meet up with Gen and Velen. The screen fades to black, and when the screen comes back, he is holding Varian's sword. So it's like, did he level up? Like, is he a paladin now instead of a priest? Is he going to be more like melee now? But basically the whole quest line is showing that he's maturing as a leader, and I'm really curious to see how Varian's sword is retrieved. So that's probably in the secret cinematic that we have not been able to access yet. And I think that's about it. I don't know if you want to discuss things first before moving the spoiler tag, but yeah, it's a really touching quest line. And no, we haven't found anything equivalent for Horde yet. Not sure if one will be coming, but yeah, Alliance only super touching quest line.
I was trying to figure out why this was locked up while you were talking, and in that amount of time I did not figure it out.
Oh no, that's sad.
I know, I'm super bummed. I don't know why it did that. And it sucks because I have like images and videos for everything else we're talking about, and now I can't access them. I mean, it's not a huge deal. I'm just bummed. Yeah. Thank you so much to the Kaisato for subscribing to us while Perk was speaking about stuff. I do not play Alliance, so I feel like I'm not emotionally attached enough to Anduin to like have a good response to everything that you just said.
Well, I think it's a really good quest line, and you should probably just... I think it's worth doing, even if you play Horde.
Even if you play Horde. Moving on from that, since we don't have a spoiler tag, which I'm really bummed about. There was also some Q&A that happened in between now and the last stream we had, and the topic of reforging was brought up. And
so this was part of the itemization Q&A. And Blizzard basically said that the feedback on Legion is that players don't have enough decision making as far as itemization goes, and while reforging would be a way to give players more decision making, there are a lot of drawbacks, so they don't just want to jump into reforging. For example, like suppose you could think one item was an upgrade, but then reforging would mean that you have to like reforge all of your items, and maybe some of your other items suddenly are bad, and then it muddies the concept of, oh man, this was a great upgrade. So they think that it could solve the player agency problem temporarily, but it could create more problems in the future.
I feel like what would solve that is if they stopped putting freaking versatility on everything.
Yeah.
I'll never understand. I mean, they know what our best stats are. They do. But then you do a piece of tier gear and you're a Resto Shaman and it's like crit versatility and you're like, why?
Yeah, they discussed that at the Q&A. Someone was like, hey, like, so you know what the best stats are. Like, do you take that into account when...
No, they don't.
They said they kind of did, but they also said because a lot of specs have, like haste caps, for example, and that you should always sim your stats, like especially as DPS, and things could change based on other gear you have or talents, that they know that people can actually have different gear and stat setups now, so they like having some variety. Because, like maybe if you haste is great and then like suddenly you have too much haste and you'd rather have an item with a different stat.
Yeah.
So what else did we learn at the Gear and Q&A? Oh yeah, so we learned that the 7.2 artifact appearances are still coming, but they're secret and haven't been tested on the PTR. So these appearances look really cool. We've data mined them for like over a year now. You'll be able to try the special challenge when the mage tower is only active, but yeah, we can't practice them.
They don't want it tested. They don't want people to know.
Yeah.
They don't want people to know. Also, Tier 20 bonuses are still unfinished. And just to remind everybody, the Tomb of Sargeras will not be launching with 7.2. I have a feeling it's going to be much more similar to how 7.1 with Nighthold was. So we got Nighthold in 7.15, so I expect that we'll get Tomb of Sargeras around the same time period. And no, we do not have a date on 7.2 yet, but today the PTR build was marked for release. They also announced the end of the PvP season.
Yeah, we don't have a specific date on the PvP season ending, and usually we like get that specific 2-week notice. But we just got a vague like, "Hey, it's soon. You guys wanna, might want to see about getting this done." Mm-hmm. So we also have the 7.2 available for background download. So between the release candidate and the background download, I would think it's coming on the 4th, and I'm just speculating because a lot of the items for March of the Tadpole, which is a micro holiday coming on April 5th, were properly added to the 7.2 PTR data today. Mm-hmm. Explaining what properly means, like, it's kind of confusing, but basically, like they made final tweaks to it. So I think that means that 7.2 is coming before March of the Tadpoles, which would mean it's either the 28th or the 4th, and if it was the 28th, we wouldn't have the 2-week notice, so that's why I think it's the 4th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I might have just worked around something. Let me see. Oh wait, hold on. Before I do that, let me not ruin. All right.
Do you want me to keep talking about itemization?
Just keep chatting for a second because I may have fixed this.
All right, I'm trying to see what else we learned about itemization.
Right,
we learned.
Oh,
we learned about itemization.
Didn't fix it. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's still broken. Right. I'm sorry. I tried, fam. I tried. Right. I thought we were going to have a whole show with no technical difficulties. We were so close.
One quick thing about itemization before we move into live stuff. They forgot to bring it up at the Q&A, but the healer cape from Karazhan is going to be nerfed in 7.2, so it's a 5% bonus instead of a 10% bonus.
All right.
And, yep, I think that's it.
I think that's it as well. So that brings us to stuff that's going on live servers. And if XSplit was working properly, I would love to show you a lovely slideshow of all the bosses that are part of Ungoro Madness, but it's not working. So just picture dinosaurs in your head in Ungoro running around. There's a Murloc too. So that's still going on today. That's today until the end of the day, right? Or is it over now?
So it's going on actually for a few days. I think it's for the whole weekend.
Wow.
It's called the Ungoro Madness event. And we thought originally it was in August, but it got bumped up to today. And this is because the Return Journey to Ungoro Hearthstone expansion is kicking off the big card reveal info dump today. So it's fitting that a lot of the dinosaurs and elites that you can kill in WoW are cards that are coming in the Hearthstone expansion. And the really cool bit is that there's this, the dinosaurs drop an item called Dino Mojo, and you throw it at a player to grant them and you a random adaptation. And that's the name of the new Hearthstone mechanic, which is the new adapt keyword allows a minion to become infused with elemental power. Similar to the Discover mechanic, you will be presented with 3 options when you play a card with adapt. There are 10 adaptations to choose from. So yeah, it's cool how there's this, Hearthstone themed celebration in WoW, and now it's making me wonder if the other micro holidays are tied to things coming in other games like Boat Day or the Kirin Tor travel.
Yeah, you certainly never know. I think it's cute that they pushed it up to go along with the release, although I don't know if Ben Brode has made this expansion wonderful or terrible for me, because I just hear this and I just hear Ungoro Crater is coming sooner than later.
That was amazing.
He's so good. So that's up the whole weekend, guys, so make sure you check that out. I do hope that in the future they add at least small rewards to micro holidays, because the thing is, I understand that they don't want them to be this super mandatory thing that people feel like they need to do, but then in the same sense, I feel like there are so many people that won't do it at all if there's not a single reward.
A lot of times people will instantly comment on these holiday posts being like, oh, but what can I get? You left this part out of your guide. And I'm like, well, there is nothing. You just do it, and you get the fond memory of killing the dinosaurs together.
It just reminds me of like how events were before they overhauled them, right? Like the Dark Moon Fair is a perfect example.
Yeah.
The Dark Moon Fair used to be kind of like nothing. It just is a thing that happened, and if you had cards, you handed them in there, and there was really no point to it. There was no purpose. And then they redid the whole thing so that people would participate in it, and then they came out with a whole new mess of events that have no rewards. And I think in the future we will see them make changes in that way. Before we move on, thank you so much to Ghost Triple T for subscribing to Wowhead for 3 months in a row. We appreciate it. So this is exciting. You guys may have noticed that when you went into your order hall this week that you had a new quest called Urgent Warning. This will prompt you to go talk to an injured NPC in your class hall, and then you'll get a quest that'll send you on a follower mission to the Broken Shore. And then it's over. So, Perk, I don't know. Are we going to get new quests every week? What does this mean?
So I think we might, because this reminds me of like a really teeny version of the pre-launch for Legion, where like 1 week we went to Uldor, then another week we did something else.
Yeah.
So I feel like next week it'll be like the injured NPC has returned from the exploratory mission and like tells you some important thing, and like go talk to Illidan or Khadgar or someone else important. So I think that's going to be a thing every Tuesday for
just
2 weeks.
A little hype train until it comes out. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you do it. You don't really get anything, but you should still do it.
Yeah. Maybe you will in the future.
Maybe. You never know. Also, this is interesting, too. The For Azeroth promotion that we've been talking about for, like, a month now, apparently it ended a couple hours early. Totally on accident. They ended it a couple hours early, and people were really upset about it. So they reopened For Azeroth, and now it's extended from now until March 26th. As a reminder, you have to play 15 games of Heroes of the Storm on a Warcraft hero with a friend in your party. And once you do that, you will get the Primal Flame Saber mount in World of Warcraft, as well as a Flaming Charger mount that's like the Judgment mount in Heroes of the Storm, and you'll get a stim pack. So if you haven't done that, definitely do it. It's a very cool mount, and it's really quick. You can do it on AI, and you also will get a WoW hero for free, so you don't have to spend any money or anything. And I think that WoW had put up a beginner's guide, right?
Yeah, so like it's not like this is how you're a pro in Heroes, but it's like, you know, this is how you add a friend in Heroes. Like, these are free Warcraft heroes you can get. You know, like, there are different maps. These are the modes you can play the games on. So just, you know, just the basics if you've never played before and you want to get this mount.
Excuse me. And then also, speaking of guides, what a transition. Wowhead also put up a guide this week on all the things that you should do before 7.2 comes out, because it's happening soon.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know when it is yet, but we just made a thing of, you know, stuff that you should do and stuff that you should hold off on. So, for example, if you want to start 7.2 and get those new cool artifact traits, the quest to get those new artifact traits requires you to already have 35. So if you're not there yet, you know, grind some out. There are new champions if you do the class campaign. So if you're not there yet, you can do that. There are new transmog achievements coming. So we have a guide if you want to farm stuff now. There is the new Paragon reward system, which we talked about a lot last week. Once you're exalted, you can then grind another 10k reputation to get special boxes that could have mounts. Even if you like battle pets, there are dungeons coming. And what we think is also important is things that you do not need to worry about rushing to do. And what's really important is that ahead of the curve achievements are not going away with the launch of 7.2, because the new raid is not coming with the launch of 7.2.
Yeah.
So like Nighthold achievements, like they're not going away. You can still do that.
You still have plenty of time to do that.
Also, the Obliterum Forge, the requirements for unlocking it, like that's all going away. So you don't really have to craft all those items. Again, don't farm the reputation tokens thinking you'll turn them in at Exalted, because they don't work after Exalted.
Wait a second. I would like to gripe about this one more time. Someone pointed this out to me on Twitter. I think it was Ostelphia, that's her silly name. Her name is Ostelphia.
Yeah.
But she pointed this out to me, and it like brought me from 0 to 60 real quick.
Okay.
So why is it that when they changed legendaries from 910 to 940, they allowed people to stockpile emissary caches?
That was really weird. I agree.
Which then would have the new legendaries in them if they open them after 7.2, but I can't use rep tokens to have a random chance at getting a mount, which, by the way, 10,000 rep is a crazy amount of tokens anyways. Like the volume of tokens they're not allowing me to use is just petty. It's just petty.
Yep.
I'm done now.
I totally agree with you on that.
Thank you, Perk.
Um,
United we stand.
yes. Also, don't keep grinding at artifact power if you're at cap and like have a billion tokens, because they won't work when you do the quest for the new empowered traits.
Stupid.
And one more thing, Gul'dan LFR opened last week, so if you need to kill him, you can go do that. Apparently, the Arcanist Mana Saber, you can get that quest done on LFR, which is useful because things like Balance of Power you can't do on LFR.
Yep.
So this next part is really interesting. We have a lot of Blizzard news for a change. Do you want to talk about the next thing?
Yeah, so BlizzCon was announced. The BlizzCon 2017 is going to be on November 3rd and 4th. Did we not put that in our notes? We didn't put that in our notes. We're so good at this. It's November 3rd and 4th. The tickets will go on sale on April 5th as well as April 8th. They are $199 per ticket with a limit of 4 per household. The tickets will be purchased through Universe. Then there'll also be a separate batch of tickets that go on sale on April 12th. They will be $750, and those will include tickets to the benefit dinner with with a bunch of Blizzard developers, and you get some swag, and it's open bar, but it's all for charity. That goes to the Children's Hospital of Orange County. And then also you'll be able to edit any ticket information through July 14th. So if you have the opportunity to buy, if you are in line, you get there and you know other people that are going to BlizzCon, I would recommend that you buy 4 tickets because you'll have no problem finding someone to get them from you, and you're able to change the names until July 14th, and then badge pickup as well as the Blizzard shop at BlizzCon will be early again. It'll start at 9 a.m. on November 2nd, so that's the thing that's happening.
Yeah, and we've already tried to reach out and get the ball rolling on initial Wowhead party planning again, and that's always the day before BlizzCon hits, so we're trying to have the exact same setup. Hopefully we can have the same location and the same after party.
Yeah, the Wowhead party this year was so good, too.
I know. I thought it was really cool. We got, like, the formal party with, the prizes and the booths and the show, and then we had, like, the chill after party if you prefer just hanging out with your friends. So I was really happy with it.
I was really happy with it, too, and I have a bunch of ideas of how to improve the stream for this year coming up as well. Yeah. I mean, pending you want me to do that again, either way, it's fine by me. But, I have a lot of plans to make that a little bit better, and I have a bunch of ideas to run by you for other stuff, so I'm very, very excited for all of the things.
Yep.
All of the things.
So another kind of BlizzCon related thing is that the Arena Championship information was announced. There was a PvP Q&A the week before last. And I think, we would have had a graphic go up for this, but things are not working.
Sorry.
And so I'm just pulling up the graphics so I can
double check. Yeah, still not working.
So
I can't interact with anything, so hopefully I'll be able to turn the stream off when it comes time. But you're not getting nice outro music this week. I'm sorry.
So there's more qualifier cups in North America and Europe. There is more of a prize pool. There are, I think, more teams that can qualify this year. 12 teams up from 8 last year. Latin America has a dedicated spot. China has a second team. And it's cool that Blizzard keeps, expanding their esports department for every game.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there'll be a special title or an item or something you can earn if you can tune in last year, because last year they had some sort of title that you could get if you watched the championship.
Yeah. And then also, you just talked about Blizzard kind of expanding esports, and that means that more people are getting jobs. Haha, that transition. Yeah. So Blizzard was ranked this week as the 66th best place to work. Is that in America or in the world?
I've seen mixed things. I want to say it's international because I thought some companies were overseas, and Blizzard is also overseas.
Yeah.
Let's just go for to work in general.
In the world. And it is the only video game and entertainment type company that made the list. This is the 3rd year that they've made the list in a row, and this is their highest ranking year. And they're also partnered up with BuzzFeed this week to do kind of a video showing a behind the scenes at Blizzard, which was a recruitment video for new people who want to work at Blizzard.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of Blizzard culture,
I
this
know,
we
I'm
really
bummed.
co-created an image for.
I'm bummed I don't have a picture of this. Hold on, I'll make an Imgur link of this because I made a really cute side by side that you would have appreciated. I'm doing it right now so that I can show it to people in chat.
When Chris Metzen announced his retirement last September, Blizzard honored him by unveiling concept art for a statue of Chris Metzen holding onto Winston's hand in a pose really reminiscent of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse. And this past weekend, various Blizzard employees were taking pictures of the prototype statue, which was finally unveiled at Blizzard headquarters. And it's super awesome. Like it's really special.
Yeah, it's really similar to the Walt Disney statue. Where the heck did I save this file? Story of my life. Where did I save this file? Okay, I don't know where it went. Sass, can you link the Wowhead post? I had a really nice side by side and I do not know where it went. And it's definitely in the stream. I just don't know where I saved it when I did that.
Yep.
Not that I can show you it in the stream because that's also broken. Because of course it is. Of course it is. I see. I don't know. I've given up. Did you link it, Sass? I'm sure you have it. Sass, speak to me. Yeah, there we go. He linked it.
Cool.
He linked them, so you guys can check those out. But it's a really nice statue. I mean, we saw what it was going to look like a while back, and so it felt like when I think Nick showed it to me, he's like, "Oh, did you see this?" And I was like, "Wait, I saw that already." Like I didn't feel like that.
There's a few more details on it too, though. Like there's medallions at the bottom showing all the Blizzard games. So it's just cool seeing it.
Now, are they just making the little one that they're giving to him, or is that something that's going to be on display at Blizzard?
I don't know, and I was also curious because Blizzard's been doing more with all these statues, like Reaper and Illidan. Like, is this something that fans could buy? Because I think people would be interested, especially with how.
Buy it.
It's good reminding people that after Chris Metzen retired, he did this interview with Scott Johnson from The Instance, and he was talking about that he was retiring because he had all this, work anxiety. He was being a perfectionist, and it took him a while to realize what was going on because, as a man in the tech industry, you don't usually think in terms of, feelings and having, mental health being a real thing. And when he did do that interview, he got so much support, and it, gave a lot of people strength to come out and, talk about their problems and get help. So, I think a lot of people would be interested in buying that statue.
For sure. I think a lot of people would buy that statue too. I think a lot of people would buy it. He was such a well-loved Blizzard employee. People really, really liked him a lot.
Yeah.
And now we're all
this
sad.
next thing, this next thing should make people happy. We should start asking people if you know about World of Warcraft Chronicle Volume 2, suggest a topic you'd like us to read, because I'll be reading a page or two in a minute as a teaser.
I also have mine, so we can kind of go back and forth since we have this one screen sitting.
Well, something I can do is...
What's happened? Hello? You still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Ripped my headphones out, trying to get my book.
Oh, no.
Because I brought out my Chronicles 1 as well.
Yeah, so you can kind of see that there's, cool pictures here.
There are. The whole thing is beautiful, as always. I mean, even, the cover art in the inside is, these gorgeous maps and whatnot. But we're giving 10 of these away on Wowhead.
Yeah, the Paladins versus the Death Knights. Yeah, so we have a giveaway going on Wowhead. It's US only because of shipping, but all you have to do is go to the Wowhead post, comment on your favorite lore, and you could get one of 10 books. Let me see if I can.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me last year when I had to ship out 15 of these and it was awful.
Yep. So
giving away books is the worst. I did that last year, and I went by myself because I make great life choices, and I had to take 2 or 3 trips to the car because I had all these books and they were so heavy that I couldn't carry the whole stack in at once.
Yep.
But the pictures are gorgeous, and this is mostly about Draenor. So
I think it starts and ends with Draenor, the discovery of it, and then the explosion in the Dark Portal, and in between, this is a cool one. We got Medivh here. So in between all that, we learned about the new, the Alliance and the Horde and how they met and how they had the conflict, and some of it rehashes the movie lore as well.
I just happened to open up to Garona's Escape. So you guys want to hear that?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
All right. So this is just like a half a page, but it's like the whole thing. So I'll just read it. Okay. Throughout the Second War, Garona had lived under the watchful eye of the Black Rock warrior Ettrig. She served many functions, sometimes translating missives taken from captured Alliance messengers. She also fought alongside her fellow Horde soldiers. Initially, Garona viewed Ettrig as just another mindless warrior, a fanatic who had sworn his life to the war chief Black Hand, despite his tyrannical disposition. But over time, she had seen a glimmer of something in the orc, a fading ember of pride and honor. Garona believed that she could win Ettrig's trust, and she told him everything she knew of Gul'dan and the Shadow Council. She also revealed her knowledge of demons and the true purpose of the Horde. The orcs were merely puppets of a terrible enemy. If the Horde destroyed the Alliance, the demons would then transform Azeroth into a wasteland. Ettrig greeted Garona's words as poisonous lies. After all, she had been Gul'dan's assassin. How could he ever trust someone who had committed such a dishonorable act? After Ettrig's rebuke, Garona abandoned any hope of helping him see the truth. She bided her time, patiently awaiting an opportunity to escape her handler. The opportunity finally came in the hinterlands. As chaos engulfed the region, Garona slipped into the forests and vanished. Ettrig considered hunting down the half-orc, but waging war on the Alliance was far more important than recovering a single prisoner. Ettrig had other reasons for letting Garona go. Some part of him sympathized with the half-orc in her tortured past. She had not been born an assassin. Gul'dan had made her that way. As long as she did not turn her blades against the Horde, he would let her go. Perhaps on Azeroth she would find something she never had on Draenor. Perhaps she would find a true home.
So, yeah, one more spoiler detail about Garona I wanted to mention is that in the Karazhan, I don't think it's a spoiler because Blizzard clarified this in the Q&A a while ago, but when they talk about Medivh and all that, like, Medan is not mentioned in this book. And Blizzard said a while ago that, like, he's no longer canon, like, things change, so he's not mentioned in this book at all. So
they kind of just said a bunch of times that, like, comic lore did not dictate book lore, did not dictate movie lore, did not dictate game lore. Things happen independently.
So Novel will be doing a video follow-up for us talking about the lore of Draenor in like a week or two. So stay tuned for that. When we do those articles, like, we transcribe his summary of the book, and then we explain how you can do the quests that are described in the book on Wowhead. And maybe next week, I'll read a different chapter based on what people would like to hear.
Yeah, do you want to read something now? Did you have something that you wanted to read?
Did people suggest anything?
Well, it's hard because I feel like all the little bits and pieces are so random. I think you should just find a piece that you like.
Okay. So
what about page 53, the founding of Shattrath?
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool.
It goes on to the next page, but it's only about 4 paragraphs total.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, founding of Shattrath, 195 years before the Dark Portal. The Rangari scoured Draenor for a place to build a permanent settlement. They discovered a prime location that no other creature had settled, a site protected by mountains and with access to the sea. Unbeknownst to the Rangari, this had once been the ogre city of Goria. Draenor's other societies remembered the elemental rage that had consumed it, and none had any desire to resettle that land. The Draenei had no such memories, and thus no such reluctance. Velen led his people there and established the city of Shattrath, a word meaning dwelling of light, in the Draenei's tongue. Artificers labored day and night to erect buildings, crystals, and roadways, laying the foundation for the Draenei civilization to grow and expand. As the Draenei worked, a strange phenomenon caught their attention. One of the Shatari, Maladar, sensed that something was happening to the souls of Draenei who had died in the Genadar's crash. The remains of the Narudore had drifted deeper into a void state, and they were attracting these spirits. Most shocking of all, once the souls arrived at the Naru, living Draenei found that they could communicate with their fallen brethren. Nothing like this had ever happened before in the history of Everdar society. Velen immediately directed Maladar and a group of Shatari to move Dore's remains to a secluded place. They found a location on the outskirts of Terrakar Forest that was a safe distance from all other civilizations. The Shatari then built an immense mausoleum to house Dori. And after they had moved the Naru's remains within the tomb city, the Draenei spirits followed. The site became known as Ochendun, a home for the honored dead, and Maladar was named as the 5th Exarch on the Draenei Council. He would lead an order called the Ochenai. Maladar and his followers would be responsible for communicating with the Draenei dead and protecting their souls from harm. That was a really good one to suggest because, that whole area is really different in both Outland and Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
So, in Outland, that area is like the Bone Waste, and there's the 4 instances, and the Exarch we were just talking about is, the final boss in one of the instances. And then in Warlords, it's super glittery and crystals and looks a lot different, and it's under attack for different reasons.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
How about...
So yeah, definitely recommend getting this. And yeah, what were you going to say?
You want me to do one more, or are you good?
Yeah, let's do one more. This is fun.
All right, so I have The Binding of Alexstrasza.
This might be sad.
I know, right?
Yeah. I'm not to say, I'm just saying it's, the dragon lore is always really sad for me.
South of Lordaeron, Alexstrasza the Lifebinder and her red dragons continued searching for who had stolen the demon soul. Their investigations eventually led them to the orcs. Alexstrasza and her kin had arrived just in time to witness the horde's brutal assault of Cosmodon. Though the Lifebinder longed to aid the dwarves and the gnomes, finding the demon soul was paramount. The artifact contained powers of every dragon aspect except for Deathwing. If it fell into the wrong hands, it could spell doom for not only dragonkind, but the entire world. Alexstrasza soon discovered that the demon soul was in the care of an orc known as Nekros. He and his Dragon Maw clan were experimenting with the artifact and abusing its power. Alexstrasza and her followers descended on Nekros, expecting little resistance. Such a primitive creature could never unlock the dragon soul's secrets. The dragons were wrong. Unbeknownst to Alexstrasza and her allies, Nekros had learned much about the artifact from the dreams and visions sent by Deathwing. The black dragon aspect had taught the orc of the demon soul's true power and had instructed him how to wield it. The greatest knowledge Deathwing had shared with Nekros was that the relic could be used to enslave Alexstrasza and the other dragon aspects. Nekros called on the dragon soul's fury. The artifact seared the Lifebinder with excruciating pain. Alexstrasza plummeted from the sky and slammed into the mountains outside of Cosmodon. Nekros then bent the dragon soul's power to enslave the Lifebinder, and the rest of the Dragon Maw orcs swarmed over the enormous creature and bound her in chains. Though the demon soul could be wielded against other dragons, Nekros was but one orc, and his knowledge of the artifact was limited. He knew he would never be able to use the relic's power on Alexstrasza and her followers at once, so he focused his attention on the Lifebinder. The red dragons could do little to help their queen. Every time one of them swooped down towards the orc, Nekros lashed Alexstrasza with the demon soul's extraordinary power. He did not speak the language of the dragons, but his message was clear. When the dragons attacked the orcs, Alexstrasza suffered great pain. By enslaving Alexstrasza, Nekros effectively bound the red dragons to his will. The creatures feared if they did not obey the Dragon Maw, Alexstrasza would be tortured or even killed. Yep, that was sad.
That stuff's always really heavy. Yeah, that's always really heavy, especially when there's some, really weighty stuff with the dragons in 7.2. So, it's really sad and heavy.
But if you are into lore at all, I mean, these books are great. They're almost like encyclopedias. Even in the back, there's like a key.
They actually do have encyclopedia.
Yeah, it's exactly like an encyclopedia where you can look up anything that you want in the index, and it'll tell you where to find information on that in the book, which I think is really nice.
And if you've forgotten about this, there's this really cool, oh, no, there's a sun there. But yeah, you can see how it's sort of cosmology map where it shows how all the different, the light and the dark and the void and all the magic elements work together.
Yeah, just in general, it's very cool. If you have the first one, I would strongly recommend getting the second one. But if you're into lore at all, these are awesome books. And they also are really pretty. I have them sitting... I have a shelf where I have a couple of my Warcraft figures, and then I have all my collector's editions that I have on their sides, and then I have these out like this, and the art of World of Warcraft and the art of Legion, and all the spines look really pretty together. I don't know. I like books. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. I like the way they smell. I like books. So if you're interested in that, those are available now, right? They came out yesterday?
Yeah, they came out on Tuesday, actually.
Tuesday. So yeah, they are out now. If you guys are interested in buying that, there is a link on Wowhead, and I believe if you use their link, they'll get like a small percentage of the profits, but the price is the same. So if you want to support Wowhead and you are already planning on buying it, that's a way that you can do that. There's also a gallery of pictures and stuff like that on Wowhead, and we'll also read some more next week. So if you have anything specific that you want to hear about out of the book, make sure that you hang on to that little nugget of information and let us know, because we would be happy to oblige. Now, while we're going through the site stuff, first of all, I want to thank everybody for being super patient with my streaming program, which like died halfway through today's stream. R.I.P.
Yep.
Sorry, I was so excited too. I like messaged Brick. I was like, I got all the videos working.
I know!
Everything's so great. I'm so excited. And then, ouch. That's all for naught in typical Danielle fashion. So what are you going to do? But thank you so much for being patient and understanding. We appreciate it. But yeah, if you guys had any questions that you haven't already asked Sass to ask us, please do that now, because we'll be going over those after we go through this last section of stuff.
Yeah, so I can just kick it off with a few things, because this is stuff I've been working on. The first thing, which is we have a new cooking stream coming up with Lulaboo for Tuesday, March 21st at 1 p.m. Pacific. And as usual, we'll be cooking something from the Warcraft cookbook and giving away some cookbooks and cookie cutters.
Yes.
So stay tuned to learn what we will be cooking. Last time we did Dragon Breath Chili, and the time before that we made a berry pie, which is the Bloodthorn berry pie, which you can buy at the Brawlers Guild if you are rank 8 or higher.
Yep.
So this next one is cool. We made Wowhead fully mobile responsive, which means that all the site scales properly to your device. We've been working on this on and off for a few years, actually. And while the core of the site was always mobile friendly, there were, some like calculators or comments or just pages here and there that weren't totally responsive. So we just went through, got all those weird pages working correctly, and now it will scale on all of your devices.
Yep.
We've been doing a lot of testing, so if something still seems off, let us know, and we're trying to adjust it. I fixed a bug for Mac earlier today, actually. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's also worth mentioning that if you have Wowhead Premium and you're signed in on your mobile device, it'll also remove any ads on mobile as well. That's not new to this function. It's just always been like that, but a lot of sites don't function like that.
Yep. So the next thing is that with all this talk about patch 7.2, we updated the navigation menu to have a patch 7.2 menu instead of patch 7.15. If you still want to see 7.715 info, it's at the bottom of the 7.2 menu as under other patches. We're still adding things to the section. Like over the weekend, we're publishing a list of class changes, but if you go to patch 7.2 now, you can learn about legendary updates, class mounts, tier 20 armor, broken shore, the new dungeon, artifacts, reputation. Yeah, if there's anything you'd like us to add to this overview in the future, message me, message Sass, send an email, and we'll try to write something up.
Yeah.
Also, as part of the navigation updates, we've been getting a lot of feedback that people saw these class icons and they didn't really know what they did, because for everything else that's a link, we had text being like raids, transmog, 7.2, but we didn't have anything saying that they were class guides, and we didn't have any yellow text or decorations indicating they were links. So they now say they're class guides, and they've got little cute yellow circles around them implying that they're links. Let us know if this makes the class guides more obvious, because we have a lot of writers and they work really hard updating their guides, and we like people to know they exist and they're on the front page. So they, we don't want you to be like, oh, Wowhead just put a bunch of art on the front page. Those links actually go places. What else do we have? On Monday, we think we identified an issue that was causing lag and excessive reloading with some advertisements. It's still in testing, but from our staff testing, as well as the volume of feedback inbox, we think that the performance seems better. We're not going to go ahead and be like, oh, it's all fixed, but we're cautiously optimistic, and we have seen an improvement on our end.
Well, it's hard with things like ads anyways, because ads aren't stagnant. It's not like you have the same ads forever and ever and ever. Things will things will change, and then it brings a whole new mess of issues, and then those have to be identified. You get them identified and corrected, and then next thing you know, the ads are changing again. So it's just kind of an ongoing uphill battle.
Yeah. But, like SAS, for example, like he would experience issues kind of regularly. And we know we had some other users as well. And SAS claims it's better. And we reached out to some of the people that were getting it more frequently than others. And they seem to think it's better. So we think we're on the right track. If you'd like to track our progress on this, if you go to the Wowhead feedback forums, we have a sticky called Improvement Site Stability and Flash Issues. And there you can see what we've been working on and other stuff we'd like to set up. So, for example, we're trying to set up Amazon affiliates, and if that has like a robust amount of revenue, maybe that means we can make future ad changes. But like all this stuff does take time. But you can kind of see our like plan of what we want to do on this feedback thread.
I know this isn't in the notes, and I hope this isn't inappropriate to say, but actually that was really interesting when you and I were talking about ads the other day, and like why Wowhead's ads are the way they are, because like if you go to a random website, like most random websites, you're on their page for a couple minutes and then you click away. But the way that people use Wowhead is that they often will have 8 tabs open at the same time, and it costs money to host all those 8 tabs, which often have these 3D model viewers and all sorts of stuff going on in them. It's not like it's just a text blog web page where there's nothing. And it was just a really interesting thought that, the way that people use Wowhead isn't really the same way that they use other sites. And it's kind of why you guys are always trying to like improve ads, because ads are sort of a necessary evil for how much money it costs to host a site where people are actively using so many pages at one time.
Yeah, another thing is that one of the recent things we did is that we turned off ad refreshes after an hour, and on the surface it's like, who uses a page for an hour? Like, is this a big deal? And it's like, well, actually, based on our analytics, like a fair percentage of our users they'll just spend like the whole day keeping a page open, as they do a raid or something. Like, it's open for hours.
Yeah.
So like the decision to bring it down to an hour was done after a lot of testing. It wasn't just some arbitrary number.
Yeah. I thought that was a really interesting thing, because it was something I had never thought of before. And there are so many sites that these days you go to, and like, I know I probably shouldn't say this on it, but Forbes is like so guilty of this. You'll go there to read an article and it will pop something up that's like,
continue.
You have
3, 2,
to join our site to keep reading.
Yeah. We don't want to do that.
To keep reading when it's in an SEO. Like, you're looking on a search engine and to find something, you find it, and then they won't let you see it. Like, if you have ad block enabled, that you can't go any further. A lot of them you like have to actually log in to go any further. So I think that a lot of things in life are you need to kind of step back and look at the perspective of it. And when you had told me that, it was just something I had never thought of before. Like, I have Wowhead Premium, so I don't really have to deal with that as an issue anyways. But I mean, I can see, I can understand I also hate ads. Like, I'm currently in talks with my network of how I can.
Yeah, like you sent me. You would text me as well, like you were like, I'm at the movies, and I looked this up at Wowhead, and there was a porn advertisement, like, remove this now.
Oh my god, my face, I've been assaulted. And then, what was funny about that is I was like, was like someone else using my phone? Because a lot of times ads are targeted, right? Like, what was I searching that's what they wanted to like advert? It was funny. I wasn't mad or anything, but yeah. So it's like everybody understands. Oh, Wowhead Premium's dirt cheap. It's $1 a month or $9 for the entire year, and it removes ads anywhere that you're logged in on Wowhead. So like I said, it'll work on your mobile and your desktop. It's super nice. Like it's dirt cheap. Like it's less than $1 a month if you get it a year at a time.
That said, we're not trying to do anything like Forbes where it's like, like the site will lag unless you get premium. It's not like, we're not going to put up like a paywall, but like this, it's not like a soft paywall. This is like, it should be working.
Everything is still available and everything. Somebody asked. So
and like everything we sticky in feedback is stuff that we want to make as improvements for people that do not have premium.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember, too, that the people who are actually on the site aren't always the ones who are making those decisions. Like, there's a bigger, higher-up person that doesn't,
Yeah. Also, a lot of Wowhead's users are from countries that don't monetize well, like Russia. Like, if you have an ad in English, like, that's not going to really encourage people from Russia. But because Russia's, like, really heavy traffic, we have to pay for those server costs. So it's a give and take. We're thinking that with Amazon affiliates, we can reach more European users that way because they have links specific to England and Germany.
Yeah.
So cautiously optimistic. But yeah,
sorry, we got off topic there. It's just something that you had mentioned to me that seriously, and I do a lot of ad stuff for a living. I mean, I'm a YouTuber. Like, there are ads on my videos, and I hate ads. Like, I've never met anybody who hates targeted ads the way that I do. Specifically, like, when I will never forget, my grandma died, and we had spent the whole day cleaning out her house, and I inherited her thimble collection, which is a ridiculous thing, but it means so much to me. I love it so much. And I was looking through the thimbles, and I was trying to identify the ones that I had given to her, and there was one from Six Flags Darien Lake. So I was like, oh my god, I think that's the last time I was at Six Flags Darien Lake, blah, 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 blah. And next thing I knew, I go onto Google, and Google is advertising me tickets to Six Flags.
Yeah, that's really...
Facebook is advertising me tickets to Six Flags because all of your mobile devices, like, listen to you, and I hate it. And because my channel uses Google ads, like, I actually, if you watch my YouTube up, only about half of my videos are monetized. If I can get a sponsor, I do, because I don't want to be part of that invasive behavior. And at least Wowhead, those aren't the type of ads that you guys use either. They're targeted to Wowhead's audience as opposed to individual users because they're not Google ads, which is funny.
We're trying to get more ads that are, like, we set up a deal in advance. So, for example, like, if there's a new Overwatch hero, we might have a bunch of ads being like, hey, go play Overwatch now, as opposed to, like, here's a random ad. And, you know, that takes extra staff and time. We have recently expanded our staff to have more people setting up these types of deals. So hopefully that will reduce the amount of random ads you can get as well. We also I talked a bit more about this and other cool, or like behind the scenes, or, you know, work stuff you might not be aware of on the Training Dummies podcast on Wednesday. So if you're curious about, like, what my average day is like, or sort of what goes on when data mining happens, or what parts of the site should get more love, or what parts of the site seem really easy and straightforward but are really complicated to maintain, definitely check them out. I think I've tweeted a link over the past few days to them. But yeah, they're really cool. They've also, and a lot of their other weeks, they get Wowhead, like, class and raid writers on the show. So yeah, they're pretty cool.
Just to answer someone in chat, someone said, someone said, I have premium, but ad block is my friend everywhere else. But what I'm speaking about as far as targeted ads actually has nothing to do with ad block, because your phone, like, unless you go through and, like, block your phone from being able to access the microphone on different things, what I'm specifically talking about, it wouldn't matter if you had ad block or not. It's a matter of, it tries to advertise to you in that way. So I was just to answer that. But obviously, if you would like to support any online creator, I mean, I understand using ad block, but please whitelist your favorite sites, because without advertisements, unless you, like, are paying for the subscription fee or using their affiliate links or whatever it may be, I mean, you can't sustain on no money. It's just not. It's not the way the world works.
Right.
So,
and, like, the more people that ad block businesses might think, like, oh, you know, 70% of our users ad block, which is true across the internet. This isn't like,
it's nuts.
Wow,
it's nuts. Yeah. When I was in,
companies might say, like, oh, like, because 70% ad block, like, the people that don't need to see, like, twice as many ads, and then those people are like, oh my god, I have so many ads, I want to ad block, and it's this bad cycle. So, and it's hard, and I think Wowhead, as far as, like, I've never had, when I've been on Wowhead before I had premium, I do remember one time I was filming a video and an ad refreshed after like 15 minutes and it had sound and it scared the living bejesus out of me. But it was hilarious because I had it on video, so it was like an amazing moment for my audience to watch. But, like, I have been on pages before where you start scrolling and the ad will scroll so that it's still in the middle of your screen. And even on Wowhead, that was never, it's not like they pop out at you or anything like that. It's just, it's hard because it's such a give and take with, like, everybody hates ads. It's not like anybody likes them, but you have to find a good balance of how to maintain the financial stability of your site while also keeping your viewers feeling happy and not like their personal space was invaded by ads. So the TLDR of that is thank you so much to everybody who does subscribe to Wowhead Premium and uses our affiliate links and stuff like that, because that's just amazing and we appreciate it so much. But to those of you who do not, the ad thing is just something we're constantly working on, and Perk spends a ridiculous amount of time trying to make everybody's experience on Wowhead as amazing as it can be. Yeah, and just to reiterate, like, we know that a lot of people will comment on things being like, oh, I never had a problem, and then someone's like, well, like, I always have a problem. And what we did on Monday, we think address that problem. Like, we had a hunch it was a problem for a few weeks, and we made a sticky post about that. And we think we finally addressed that issue. So, we're not trying to say like, oh, you're lying, this person's fine, like you're wrong. We're saying that, we are trying to work on these things. We realized there was an issue with the loading times, and you should have a good experience if you don't have premium, but premium is a good way to support the site, and it is really cheap compared to something like,
even a Twitch subscription is $5 a month, and that doesn't. We should figure out a way to link those two things together. So if people are subscribed on Twitch, we should figure that out. Just an idea I had. Moving on. I'm sorry that I went off on a thing there. I really thought the ad thing was interesting because I'd never considered how much differently people use Wowhead than other sites, and I do it myself. Like when I was maxing out my fishing artifact, I literally had Wowhead open for like 18 straight hours. The same page. It wasn't even like I was moving.
Oh, like Wowhead versus gaming sites. It's like Wowhead versus like the New York Times. Like you're not reading the article on the New York Times for 18 hours.
Yeah. Even other gaming sites, though, there aren't many that you leave open for, because it's like with Wowhead, if you're doing any sort of achievement, and so many PC gamers have multiple screens, you just leave one open in your other screen, just unlimited. Like you never know. So anyways, just an interesting little tidbit, but yeah, we still have a discount with Blizzard. That transition. We do still have a discount with Blizzard for the month of March. I'm sorry I do not have the graphic, but I believe it's 15% off plushies, right?
Yeah, it's Wowhead 15 March. This counts for Pepe and the Probe, which is now a hero in Heroes of the Storm, and like Diablo and the slippers and the hat and all that. So that's really cool.
I don't know if you can see them, but I have a lot of the Blizzard plushes behind me.
Yep.
A lot.
They are all here.
Oh, I also have a tipped over stool and a loot crate box. I'm doing good on my cleanliness. But if anybody is wondering what the best plushies in the store are, I would have to say Snowfang and what's the other puppy's name? Snowfang and the gray one's name is...
The Frostwolf pup.
Yeah, is it just... It doesn't have a name. Okay, so I'm trying to think of a name that doesn't exist. I think Snowfang and the Frostwolf pup are like way up there. The Winston plushie is amazing. I have the angry one that was the con exclusive. The Pachamari is really good. All of Blizzard's plushies are really good quality. I think the Brightwing, the fairy dragon, looks really, really nice as well. Like it's got a tail that has this like clinky, linky kind of thing that wraps around and stuff. It's really cool. So... yeah, if you guys are interested in a plushie, I believe it's, what is it, Wowhead 15 March? Wowhead March 15? What's the code? SAS.
Oh, it went to the wrong place. Where did it go?
Wait, I got it. It's Wowhead 15 March.
Yeah. Yep.
Wowhead 15 March will get you 15% off of all Blizzard gear plushies. So if you're interested in getting one, now is a good time to do it. 15% off is a good discount. Also, if you are in the U.S., when you look at shipping, I know usually the like standard shipping is cheaper, but generally speaking, for some reason from Blizzard, priority is cheaper. So make sure you double check that because a lot of times you can get it in 2 days for like $6 or something stupid like that. Now, how about
my battery is dying really soon, so let's go through the questions quickly.
Okay.
Before we go, the giveaway winner in chat is Jillian, so congratulations. Sass will get you your prize soon. Yay. And we don't have a ton of questions, but someone wanted to know if Ian Hazacostas was replaced as the lead game designer. To the best of my knowledge, no. He's the lead, like he got a promotion recently in Legion. He hasn't been doing Q&As recently, but he did do one in February, and it makes sense that, Halinka as the PvP dev is doing the PvP Q&A, and that Matt Goss, who's, the guy who did Artifact presentation, is talking about, items.
Is Matt Goss the systems designer, the lead systems designer?
I think he's just known as a lead game designer. Lead game designer. Let's see. Are you guys worried about the content drought coming again if we're getting 7.2 so soon?
Hard to tell.
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, like, it seems that Blizzard is trying to get better about having, like, a team always working on new stuff because they were able to pull that off with 7.15 and 7.2. But, I mean, I'd be concerned because all they've talked about is 7.3.
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason we can't tell yet is because 7.25 is what's going to introduce Nighthold, and I with just 7.2, I don't think we know yet. You know what I mean? Like when 7.25 comes out, I think we'll have a better idea of what the next batch of content is going to look like.
Yeah. Someone else went, what do you think about there are no Horde quests or leaders around in 7.2? So that's interesting. Maybe the Horde will get something in 7.25 because when people like ask for, they're like, oh, like what's up with Vol'jin? They're like, we can't say. So I think something is going to come for the Horde. There aren't a ton of rewards related to the Anduin quest. Like there's a few give artifact power, but it's not like, here is this epic for helping Anduin, and the Horde's like, oh man, I don't have this epic.
Yeah, and I can tell your laptop's starting to die because your webcam is starting to like die, so we're hurting.
Oh no. Okay, well, last question. List some things worth coming back to WoW for. I left 5 months ago and WoW isn't the same. So I think big things is Broken Shore. I think it's a really cool, fun zone. I think the class mounts are really cool. Like they each have different colors. They fly. They do cool things. I think the Anduin quest is really special. And
well, there'll be a lot of people coming back for 7.2 as well. So if you quit a while ago, you'll see a lot of people
all your friends are coming back. And also a Cathedral of Eternal Light, like Illidan is back, and he's like bickering with Maev, and the new dungeon's really cool.
Yeah,
I know
there's
people
more
were
queuable
sad.
Dungeons as well, with like Kara being queuable and stuff like that.
Like people were sad that like Warlords didn't really have a ton of dungeons, and I think it's cool that Legion is having dungeons each patch.
Yeah.
So, yep. So we should probably go before my
we have to go before her webcam dies, and we're gonna say bye for a ridiculous amount of time because I want to make sure you hear the bye. So we're gonna say bye for like a minute, and it's gonna be really awkward, but it's because I don't have an outro.
Okay.
So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to us, whether they paid out of their own pocket or used Amazon Prime. We really appreciate it. Thank you for following us on Twitch, for subscribing to our YouTube channel, for tuning in to Wowhead and checking us out on the internets, and a big thank you to everybody who subscribes to Wowhead Premium, which, as a reminder, will remove all ads from Wowhead, lets you talk in a special color when you're on the forums, lets you track your today on the Broken Isles. You can track quests, you can reorganize things. Perks dying, so we have to go. Thank you so much for cheering, JD Saphir. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
This is the longest goodbye ever. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, I have to like Control Alt Delete to make this stop. Fantastic, because it's still locked up. Goodbye. Goodbye. Au revoir. Goodbye.